end.
I miss the sane days when Ron Paul would win the straw poll.
Every time.
I mean,
Every time.
That seems so sane now.
People would get so excited for him. It was adorable because he was never going to become president.
The libertarian moment.
Yep.
How soon is too soon to rank Trump as the worst U.S. president? Here's a hint. It's too soon. Former Massachusetts governor and 2012 Republican nominee for president Mitt Romney has announced his bid to be the next U.S. senator from Utah.
I have decided to run for United States Senate because I believe I can help bring Utah's values and Utah's lessons to Washington. Utah is a better model for Washington than Washington is for Utah.
But Blinken, you might have missed it. The Cold War between Mitt Romney and President Donald Trump has thawed for now. In a pair of tweets last night, Donald Trump, out of nowhere, endorsed Mitt Romney for his Senate run. Tweeting, Mitt Romney has announced he is running for the Senate from the wonderful state of Utah. He will make a great senator and worthy successor to Orrin Hatch and has my full support and endorsement. Mitt Romney gladly accepted, tweeting back, thank you, Mr. President, for the support. I hope that over the course of the campaign, I also earn the support and endorsement of the people of Utah. That's nice. Flashback to spring of 2016 when Mitt Romney called Trump a phony and Trump bashed Romney for being a choke artist.
Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud. His promises are as worthless as a degree from Trump University.
The last election should have been won, except Romney choked like a dog. He choked. He went.
So what's changed? Let's talk to Kevin Sheridan. He's a former senior advisor for Romney's 2012 presidential campaign and a former spokesman for the RNC. Kevin, thank you for joining me.
Good to see you.
I got to talk to you about this Senate run. Why does Mitt Romney, such a good, virtuous man of public service, want to go back into elected politics and, of all places, in the U.S. Senate?
Yeah, that's a good question. But look, Governor Romney obviously feels a strong commitment to public service. And I think anybody who's gotten to know him or anybody who's watched the documentary on him sees that. And he genuinely believes it. And he's got something to contribute to the country. And, you know, in 2012, he was right on so many issues that have played out, you know, on Russia, Syria, Iran, the economy, you name it. If we had had Mitt Romney for the 4 years that Barack Obama was there, we would be in a far different place. And I think he wants to continue to serve the best way he can. And I think he fits the state well. And I think he's going to run a very strong Senate candidacy.
Oh, I'm sure he will. He's a better man than me. Is he really expecting, though, to be able to work with Trump and Trump-like senators? I mean, how does that work? They're so different temperamentally. Men like Mitt Romney are leaving the Senate. You know, Jeff Flake is on his way out because of these temperament clashes.
Well, I actually think it's a good sign for the party that the party is maturing, and look, there's space in it for Mitt Romney and for President Trump and those who follow both of them closely. But look, the policy differences in the Republican Party are not as great as I think it's made out to be. It's a tone and temperament issue.
You're right. I mean, Jeff Flake is just as conservative as you know, any of Trump's favorite senators. You're right.
Easily conservative, or he was. You know, I think he's softened in years recently, but I don't think the Republican Party is in a bad place on policy. I think, you know, there's a lot more to get done on the agenda. The tax cut has gotten everybody feeling good and a lot of momentum going. Now, if they can somehow hold on to the House, and I think they'll be all right in the Senate, they can come back, and I think Mitt Romney would be a very strong voice in the Senate. I think especially on foreign policy, where he's proven to be right on so many things, and I think organizationally, he can bring a lot to the party in terms of getting other Republicans elected, bringing some of his you know, his organizing prowess and his network into it. And you know, so I think he's a real asset to the Republican Party going forward, and a real voice that Republicans frankly need. And,
I agree 100%. I want to spare him Washington, but why do you think Trump, who was like recently actively trying to get Senator Orrin Hatch to stay, just to keep Romney from coming in, why are they suddenly cool? Do you have any inside sort of info as to how this happened?
It's probably more just the fact that President Trump likes to win, and I think he sees a winner in Mitt Romney in Utah. I don't know what the dynamics other than that are, but Orrin Hatch was a good senator for a long time. I think it's time for a new face and a new leader for Utah, and I think that's what you're going to get from Mitt Romney. I think he's got a good chance to be the next
and maybe
senator.
it's possible, Orrin Hatch nudged Trump and said, let's get on Team Romney.
Yeah, he gave a strong endorsement as well,
Yeah.
and the Utah Republican Party will be all there behind him.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. So now Romney said, I'm sure you remember, if Trump had said 4 years ago the things he said today about the KKK, Muslims, Mexicans, the disabled, I would not have accepted his endorsement. As you know, he did. So why do you think he changed his mind on that?
Look, these men have a complicated history, and
Yeah.
there was a very heated primary at the time, and I think some things were said, and that's not unusual to this, this relationship with the Republican Party. Democrats have done it. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton all exchanged very harsh words for each other.
That's true.
Several times in their primary fights, and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton as well. They come back together. It's politics. These people need each other, and they can get more done together than they can alone.
Kevin, strong beard game, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
I knew you'd like it.
Okay. Next up, on the eve of CPAC, look at how President Trump is reshaping the conservative movement. Thousands of conservatives are descending as we speak on National Harbor in Maryland for the 45th Conservative Political Action Conference, also known as CPAC or CPAC for some of you. It's the Super Bowl of conservative politics. The 4-day annual event kicks off tomorrow and culminates in the highly anticipated Reagan dinner. People like Newt Gingrich, Bob Dole, Alan West, Mike Pence, Ted Cruz have all been keynote speakers at the annual prestigious dinner. It's hosted on Saturday night. It's a big deal. This year, however, Fox News' Judge Jeanine Pirro is the honored keynote speaker. In fact, there are a lot of Fox News personalities going to this year's CPAC, and there's a lot of President Trump's cabinet. Sometimes they're even different people. But there are very few conservative Trump critics, and that's because this year, the conservative movement and the conference that brings us all together has been co-opted by Donald J. Trump. I've been to many CPACs over the years. It used to be a really important destination for Republicans, conservatives, libertarians to gather and showcase our intellectual diversity, meet one another, listen to ideas, and spot the party's rising stars. From Ronald Reagan to Bush 41, 43, Libertarian leader Ron Paul, party pillar Jack Kemp, some of the conservative movement's biggest icons made CPAC a must-attend event. And plenty of important voices will be there this year. But now, our movement's thought leaders include former Sheriff David Clark, who was temporarily banned on Twitter last month after firing off a slew of incendiary, violent tweets, including encouraging his followers to punch members of the media and, quote, make them taste their own blood. Nice. Rick Harrison of Pawn Stars is also on the schedule, as is French right-wing extremist Marine Le Pen, who brags about being of, quote, native French stock when fear-mongering about Muslims, gays, and immigrants. We're in trouble. So, guys, people already make fun of CPAC. They have for years and years and years. When I was going, all of these conferences, name one, have their share of kooks. It feels like the kooks are now center stage, the main event.
Yeah, I got news for you. Marine Le Pen is not even remotely out of place at this conference. I mean, her views are not remarkably different from the populist wing of the GOP that is now running the party. And then it's like David Clark, it's so embarrassing. Why do conservatives keep doing this? They elevate people who should never, ever have been elevated.
They're the only celebrities we have, Andy.
I know, but speaking of which, you have, was it Rick Harrison from...
Yes, from Pawn Stars.
And I actually love that show. It's a great show. But he's speaking at CPAC.
Are you interested in what he thinks about policy?
No, but why is he speaking at CPAC? But LeBron James needs to shut up.
Right. Like, shut up and dribble.
You need to make up your mind.
Well, look, I'm old enough to remember when CPAC didn't think gay groups, gay conservatives belonged there. That's when I first boycotted and stopped going. I also remember when there was a big kerfuffle over having atheist conservatives attend. But white nationalists, come one, come all, it seems like.
Right, it's the lowest common denominator. Last year was basically the year I decided I can't do it anymore. It's become sort of a Mos Eisley cantina for crazy people, except minus the charm. It's like a P.T. Barnum minus the singing and dancing. It's like the elephants have already left the room, and that's what we have left to CPAC.
Yeah.
So we got David Clark. We have this. I remember a couple years ago sitting there, and they were awarding the Andrew Breitbart Freedom of Speech Award to the Duck Dynasty guy because he said, and I'm paraphrasing it, of course, he thinks straight sex is probably more enjoyable than gay sex. That was his Freedom of Speech Award. Mind you, at the same time, Coptic Christians were being slaughtered en masse for proclaiming their Christianity overseas. But that's what it does. This moment, this CPAC takes anything that comes close to celebrity and then just elevates it because that gets people in the door, that get people paying for tickets. It's like anything else in politics.
Look, I really like our party's intellectual diversity, and I was always a big tent when it came to CPAC. Invite lots of different kinds of people, but it's very clear this year that Matt Schlapp, who's running CPAC, has decided to limit the number of conservatives who are critical of Donald Trump. What's he afraid of?
I don't know, but I think it's interesting to watch how this influences the young people's energy at CPAC, too, and how they sort of respond to these cues. I've only been a couple times, but the first year I went was, I think, 2014, and I saw kids, like, rolling up Ronald Reagan and Sarah Palin posters. Yeah. And then the next year, they were all really excited about Rand Paul. Of course. And then by last year, it was just, like, all MAGA hats as far as the eye could see. Yeah. So it's been interesting to watch that transformation, and I wonder how these new, like, even more sort of extreme figures are gonna like, influence the young people that are coming from all around the country to go
It's a good point because CPAC has often been, at least in modern history, a destination for young conservatives to go and explore and meet some of their celebrities and pick up some swag and all of that. I hope that young people are not deterred from getting involved in conservative politics. And Andy, I have not been where my party has been over the past couple of years. Sure. It's possible this is exactly the kind of conference they want and the people they want to hear from.
I think that's absolutely right. Look, Matt Schlapp, who you mentioned, he runs CPAC. He tweeted out his thanks to alt-right Pizzagate promoter Jack Posobiec after Posobiec tweeted out what a great lineup it was. So that tells you all you need to know about what CPAC has become. And it's just, I'll say it again, it's embarrassing. Right. It is absolutely embarrassing.
I'm embarrassed.
It marks a continued problem that the right has, which is they've lost the idea or the importance of persuasion. If you go back and watch older speeches, it's a lot about let's grow it, let's bring people in, let's big tent it, like we were talking about. There was the whole argument about gay conservatives and atheists. It was about growing the tent. Now this is raw red meat. David Clark and
David Clark lip gloss. Lip gloss there last year, though, you know. So
those guys are their only job is to chum the waters with red meat. That's all they're doing. They're not bringing anybody in.
I miss the sane days when Ron Paul would win the straw poll.
Every time.
I mean, every time. That seems so sane now.
People would get so excited for him. It was adorable because he was never going to become president.
The libertarian moment.
How soon is too soon to rank Trump as the worst U.S. president? Here's a hint. It's too soon.